This is Inside Indiana Business Radio on demand for Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. I'm Gary Dick. In February, Lance Allison was named the new CEO of One Southern Indiana, the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development organization for Clark and Floyd counties. Now several months on the job, Allison, who previously led chambers of commerce in Kentucky and Florida, says growth a top priority.
On the economic development side, we want to continue to see growth in industry and bring in industry and expansion, making sure that we keep our industries here healthy. I think on the chamber side, our long-term goal also is expansion into providing more targeted services to the members, but also growing that membership base.
A subsidiary of Oregon-based Daimler Truck North America is planning to close its remanufacturing plant in Plainfield by the end of the year. In a notice to the state, Detroit Diesel Remanufacturing, LLC, said the closure will affect a total of about 80 workers, the first of which are expected to be laid off next month. Elanco says it has completed the divestiture of its aqua business to Merck Animal Health for about $1.3 billion in cash. The Greenfield-based maker of animal medicines and health products said it plans to use the proceeds to pay down debt in the third quarter. From the state's number one source for Indiana business news, you're listening to Inside Indiana Business Radio. IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the Engage Indiana series, presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. With an unrelenting focus on growing Indiana's economy, we'll dive into each region's unique challenges and distinct opportunities for growth. 9 regions, one goal. Indiana's bold future starts here. Discover more and register at ibj.com/engage. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita is suing the city of East Chicago for what he claims are violations of the state's ban on sanctuary cities. The complaint, filed in Lake County Superior Court, alleges that an East Chicago ordinance adopted in 2017 violates Indiana law by restricting taking certain actions regarding information of citizenship or immigration status and limiting or restricting the enforcement of federal immigration laws to less than the full extent permitted by federal law. A highly anticipated Pablo Picasso exhibit is now on display at the Evansville Museum of Arts, History, and Science. It features the piece called Seated Woman in Red Hat, which was donated to the museum in 1963, identified as the work of Picasso in 2012, and unveiled to the public late last month. Chelsea Walker, the museum's marketing director, talked to Inside Indiana Business about why it took nearly 50 years to identify the piece as a genuine Picasso.
This is a glass mosaic piece by Picasso. At the time that this was donated, it wasn't necessarily known that Picasso actually did any work with glass. So at the time, the museum sort of assumed that it was more of like a work inspired by Picasso and not something that he directly had a hand in creating. So it went into storage where it was taken care of until a auction house reached out to the director and the art curator at the time, asking if we did in fact have this piece.
Indiana Chief Justice Loretta Rush has notified the Office of Judicial Administration and judges across the state of her intent for a third term as Chief Justice. Rush has been on the High Court's bench for 12 years and is currently in her 10th year as Chief Justice. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.